Hi, this is Dan Ching. This is part two. Now we're gonna turn this. Oh, what happened there? Okay. Now we're gonna turn this turnaround into uh, my character. Now you're gonna find that doing this process, you will encounter some hiccups, like I'm about to. I just looking at this, I realized like, oh man, I made her head here very wide. And it's like, I think this head is almost wider than that one in some ways. And so I think I'm gonna need like something in between whatever, I have here and what I've got here. And so let's just take a look at how we go about doing that. Well, first off, when I bring this in, I'm gonna need to like lower the opacity down. And you'll see what I mean here, right here. If I enlarge this. Holding down shift, right? Holding down shift. I'm just gonna enlarge it here. Shift and alt kind of makes it bigger from center out, right? And so, yeah, it's like really wide if I wanted to get it that high, right? And if I wanted to get it so that the eyes actually match the height of this. Look how big that head is, you know. If I wanted to actually match the proportions a bit. Um, so we got to play around with that a little bit, I think. Um, well, let's start off by putting this down and locking that a little bit. And the next thing what I'm going to do is I'm going to skinny it up so that it actually matches this a little better. A little bit better. Okay. And then we'll end up with something in between the two, I think. So after I do this, uh, let's get it sort of full. You know, it's like you could tell, like this is a skinnier head, and it's like not terrible actually, but I can stand to widen this out a little bit. So let me just start off by giving myself a little space and. And then what I'm gonna do now is just select all this stuff and hit Control T and hold down Alt and I'm just gonna stretch it wide. You see, if I stretch it wide, it kind of gets it a little bit closer to what I had when I had it here, right? So somewhere between this, yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, granted, because I did that, like now this thing has now changed to be a little wider. You could even see like the photo would be a little bit wider, and that's not terrible, you know. It's but but this is good. This is good. Okay, so I'm just gonna like lower the opacity, and even the eye size is gonna be a little different, and the eye positions are gonna be probably somewhere further out too. All right. Um, and the other one, of course, is the side view. Although my side view here is the opposite side. I realize that now. Yeah, she's gonna look different from the two different profiles, isn't she? I guess what I could do is just kind of be a little lazy and go like, oh, let's go the other way. Yeah. Yeah. I can be a little lazy. Yeah, I'm gonna have to change these up anyway, so why not? All right, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna I'm gonna flip this. Now, I probably should just do another side view. That's you know, but I did need to space it out a little bit because I didn't account for the hair being so, you know, when I spaced it out in the first place. So, but as a bald person, she would work like this, right? Yeah, something like that. And of course, this part over here. Yeah, I might actually need even more space now that I think about it. Even further to the side. What? You can always crop out too, by the way. You can hit this crop tool, and then you can just like pull this out sideways like so. Bam. Just gonna, I need my space. A little personal space. Yeah, like that. Cool. Same thing with this. Bring her out about there-ish. And then I'm gonna space this out. So yeah, that initial size I had originally told y'all, it's gonna change. Yeah. Nothing set in stone. What? Dan? Yeah, I know. Okay, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this side view here, and I'm just gonna put it here. And again, lower the opacity just a wee bit. And again, this is, what's underneath is more like a mannequin head, right? I guess in some ways we could have gone in and just taken the original drawings, right, that I had here and made little mannequin heads off of that. We could have done that, but what that might have resulted in is it would make the 3/4 angle here and this that other angle a little bit harder to do. Not impossible, but it would have just been a little bit harder to do that. Whereas, tracing off of the photo reference saved me a little bit of headache. All right, so something like this, right? So you can kind of see what I'm getting at now. And I want to like lower the opacity down a little bit because again, it'll be something in between because not even, I don't even trust that my original little drawing here is completely on model and these things can change and such as well as we go. It's not terrible. Okay. But this way I can actually, um, even start to do like a little sketch here of what I think the hair might look like. Oh, I kind of have this. Although this is a little bit low, but I don't know. Let's take a look. It might work. It might not. Let's see. Uh, what I mean by low is the angle is kind of a low angle, which means again that nose is going to be in a different position. It'll be a little bit higher, but I could definitely use it as a starting point. And you could also see like one eye is going to be higher than the other because it's also at that angle. So so you're just gonna have to choose one, and then because she's kind of tilting her head in my sketch there. So, but the hair will be relatively similar, so that's good. So we'll change out a couple of things here, but not entirely. But at least I'll have a starting point now. Yeah, and lower it down a little bit so that again, I'm not going to be so trapped in going with the original. I just kind of wanted the head shape and some of the details there to remind me of what's going on here. Um, as for the looking up view, um, there's very little we can do except for maybe something on the hair, but even that's gonna change quite a bit. So again, this is very loosely based on it. But at least we'll know like how wide we want it and such. But yeah, it might end up being a little bit lower and more squished. But even that's not like in perspective or anything, right? So it's not not like locked, right? It'll just kind of give me the basics of it. But also, it also gives me an idea as to how wide I need to make this canvas yet again. Cool. Pretty good. Pretty good. Let me scoot this out a little bit. Dang, her hair is just so crazy. Okay, let me let's do this some more. All right, and then I guess I'll have to move this one. You kind of need to just kind of find one and then commit to it, right? And uh, and then these over here, I'm just gonna merge it down now and make sure that the opacity is low enough where I'm I'm seeing more of this lay-in drawing, but not to the point where it's going to be overwhelming. So again, you're tracing over a bunch of gray imagery, right? Um, and so I'm just gonna get it about even, so nothing's like overpowering anything else. But this is a good basis for me to start working off of for my turnaround image. Cool. All right. For this, I just want, yeah, hard, round, pressure size. Now's when it starts getting a little bit more on the preciseness of it. So so again, it's I probably want this on the side of me just so I have something to kind of reference it against. And yeah, don't get zoomed in too much because without seeing the other side, you can get mixed up real easy. Let me change my eraser to hard round as well. Okay. I do think I do need to make my eyes wider than what the action figure had. So let's do that. And of course there's eyelashes and such. And again, I'll what I'll do is I'll draw out the silhouette first. Undo, make a small one and then a big one. And then I'll fill it in. Allows more control because if I just, started going willy-nilly with the feathering, I could end up with more lines that are out of control than I want. Okay, something like that. And this might end up looking a little bit more normalized, less stylized than my original. And, later on we can always come back and try to figure out how to push the proportions back again. It's this constant, back and forth, I think, honestly. All right, now, as far as the nose goes, it's somewhere in between these two, actually. and probably not that wide. I'm gonna shrink it down a little bit. So the way noses work is it's overall kind of a triangular shape, but you've got like almost a ball at the tip of the nose right here. And so you kind of draw this like ghost circle almost, you know? And again, try not to focus too hard on the nose. They're almost supposed to be like thinner lines, just because it's like, don't look at the nose too much. Something like this is good. Okay. I'll draw in the pupils later, I think. All right. Let's try, let's try to get some symmetry here. This might not work. This might go horribly wrong, but let's try it. Control J. I'm just gonna flip this horizontal. Just gonna move it across here. I can kind of see my drawing here is actually not completely horizontal, uh, but we'll make it more symmetrical now, I guess. Cool. And you might want to like play around with the lashes a little bit so that they're not as the same, right? I can now come back here and just kind of go like, okay, well, these lashes will make it a little different, but kind of, still the same size. Just don't want to make it exactly the same. You might want to like tone it something like that. Okay. And we might, it's kind of just as a starter to make it like that. And then let's do this mouth part here. I want her to have a natural smile about her. So, and there's like a little, what do you call it? Sort of like the on your upper lip, there's a little part here that comes forward. It's like a little ball shape at the tip of your lips. I don't want to draw in my lips completely. I just kind of want to like do a lost and found line where like the edges here has a line and then kind of ghosts out. Yeah, I think that might be easier. And then we can give her a little bit of teeth exposed. Some people on their sort of default expression, sometimes like their teeth just kind of show as a default. The lower lip is kind of thick here. Again, I'm not going to draw it completely. I'm just going to draw a little bit here where the shadow would be, right? And the chin. I think I'm going to make the chin more pointy than what the action figure had. And then this part will be more shaved down. I don't know about giving her a strong jaw. Just curve that. And it's a subtle curve right there. Okay. Like I had said before too, I wanted the neck to be a little thinner, so let's go somewhere in between. See this line? That's the line that I drew originally. Yeah, so let's go somewhere in between, something like that thickness, so that she doesn't look too muscular, right? Something like that. And obviously the ears are gonna have to change, right? But But the good part is I've got a lot of the hair kind of figured out here. As far as the regular pieces of hair goes. So I'm just gonna, this one covers it, right? And it's gonna cover some of this brow here. But I'll just draw right through it. Something like that. You want to make sure that your lines feel kind of nice and energetic too. Like, you don't want your lines to look like nervous lines. You want to draw like large strokes like this, you know. And again, it's going to hit the base, is going to hit that, the root of it where it touches the. It's good. I'm just going to erase this part a little. Something like that. Let's see. I guess there might be another one here. This part I haven't really figured out much, actually. Do I have like little bits here coming forward, covering it up? I know I do have this part. Um, I guess over here would also be a little bit of a, the long sideburn thing. And then on the back coming forward would be this part that's coming towards us right here. Pretty good. And then of course that hits the ear, which is what we've got laid out here. And oh, and the ear would be behind that hair. Yeah, that sticks out here. At first, I was just gonna move us right along to like the expressions, but then I kind of realized like it might be too big of a step to do without locking down the model sheet for the head first. Like, I don't know if it's enough to just work off of the full body version and go right into character expressions, you know? So, but this way you'll have something locked down, in a good way. Um, you'll have a piece of reference that you always have to come back to. And in the future day and age where one day if we do rely a lot on AI, well, you can actually draw out your own model sheet, you know, make a bunch of angles of your character that's based off of your drawings and your IP. So my hope is that even in that apocalyptic future world for artists, that art in some capacity is still needed, especially if you want to make original art that doesn't feel derivative and just kind of like, oh, it's just something that everybody does, if you want to make it stand out a little bit, something like that. That's a nice, clean drawing. Notice how my lines are drawn with like more confidence Like I want to draw a nice confident line, you know. Um, want to clean up some of these little gaps, but overall they just feel like you want some energy in in your line quality here. And then that's before we even add in line weight, which we will do. Okay, so now let's do the eyes. Actually, I should draw the pupils on a completely separate layer because I might change my mind. So I just want to, I usually put in like a highlight here on the side, something I've learned from anime and life drawing and stuff. And then this part I'll just have a series of lines like that. Yeah. And also, I learned over the years that the round of the eyes don't always reach all the way down. Sometimes it gets cut off with the bottom lid a little bit. Because otherwise, if you see the entire pupil, it gives you that, the meme of like the crazy look that somebody can have. Like, it's just this very intense look. Whereas, like, if part of this iris is covered up, it is a bit more relaxed, a little bit less intense, let's say, right? Okay, something like that. And then we can now come in with like a very, wait, do I have oh, that's the eraser. Okay, come in with a very thin line, actually even thinner than this. I want to come in with like a very thin line and just draw in the wrinkles that would make this character look old. And I might end up getting rid of those, but what I'm talking about now is just like these cheek wrinkles and maybe a little bit of bags under the eyes. Just that has to be the most, because it can make her look, like I said, like 10 years older. Yeah, maybe she's too young to have that. We can also put in a double eyelid that come in through here. This part usually, yeah, so that's like the tear duct area. Let me see. Last but not least, the ears. So the ears, we have something that kind of looks like a Y, the letter Y right here, kind of like this. And then over here, there's the hole, right? So again, got the upper cartilage there, and then now here would be a backwards Y shape, and usually kind of looks like that. Okay, something like that. I'm not going to get all crazy with drawing every single hair and stuff, but that's pretty good for the pupils. Now merge down when I'm confident. Right, something like that. From here we can play around. Like, is this on model or not? Are her lips too? Yeah, I think the lips I made are way too thick. So maybe we'll just move it up a little bit, you know. Then we go through the tweaking process, right? Like that. Um, and then, yeah, and then we'll draw the profile view and then the three-quarter view and then the low angle view. But you could kind of see, this is like a cleaned up version. It kind of looks, to me anyways, a little bit in between, doesn't it? Um, and I might have gone too far with making her more realistic, but uh, you know, well, we can always tweak it back as well, especially in the line work phase. I would go from there right to the profile view. So let's do that. The profile view. I'm gonna up this just a little bit so I could see it better. Okay, it looks like I have my eyes go further back. I'm gonna do this on a new layer too. Okay, cool. Just gonna draw. I tend to go from the eyes first, honestly. Lashes, right? We've got our eyelashes. And now fill it in. And again, I'm not gonna draw in the pupils quite yet. Somewhere in between, yeah, not bad on the eyebrows. Gonna do that. The nose, it appears I kind of drew my nose a little bit longer. Oh, because I have sort of her mouth part come out a little bit further. Yeah, somewhere in between would be good. That would be the lip. There would be the teeth. Somewhere there. And now this chin is tricky. I might have given her too long of a chin. But I know that this flesh part was missing from the action figure, should be in here. Something like that. And then over here, we're just gonna draw this part out. Over here is gonna be this little groove. You gotta be careful with that again. Could end up making it look like bags under the eyes. From the side view, we'll get a better look at this nostril, right? Like that. And then there'll be this thing. And, I might line it up a little later, like, well, actually, I can do it now. Yeah, I think it's a it should be a little higher, honestly. So this part should probably be a little bit higher up. It'll rotate slightly. It's so subtle, man. It's like so easy to just be off model. I mean, it's not an easy job doing this kind of model sheet work, but it is part of the job. Not just the fun part where you're like, I draw it once, now you make it happen. No, no, they're gonna go, okay, expert. Now that you drew it once, show us how you would draw it from this angle and this angle and this angle. What? What? Yeah, all the angles. You want all the angles. Okay, something like that. The good part is on a side view, we're not as beholden. We're not as beholden to our model as much. Get a little bit of that part, and then yeah, the rest is just the hair. So we might come back and erase a little bit, but not on the eyes because we'll need to know what happens underneath. So, so there's that. And I remembered I was thinking to have a little bit of this. I need this front piece on the hair, and then it starts rolling back a little bit. Right down like there. That's good. Just attach these two. And then where's this pointed at? So if it went all the way across here, it start about there. So even now, I'm kind of fixing it a little bit. Yeah, like that. And now I just want to clean up this line work so it looks a little nicer. Yeah, add in a little bit. We've got our I'm looking for shapes, not textures. Because the 3D modelers, they're like, okay, I know we're gonna put like hair texture on it. It's not gonna be like a perfect cone, but the texture's not as important. I think it needs like actual short hair coming down here. I'm just trying to figure out what that shape would be. Would be something like that. Still got to be a little punk rock, you know? This is the hair behind that. At least now it comes to a nice point, like so. Cool. Kind of drew it out there, and then now drawing the pupil on a separate layer first. Again, there would be a highlight, and it might actually start further back, this pupil. Actually, I like it up there. That's fine. Cool. Your pupil's actually a hole, right? And your cornea is like kind of covering it, so it's a tricky thing to draw. Basically drawing a hole with a dome over it. Okay. There's an eyeball here somewhere, and it's round. There's an eyelid, like there. Very subtle. Okay, cool. So I've got my front and my side view. My side view could potentially stand to be a little bit more stretched. Show you. Oh wait, that was just the pupil layer. Nope. You want to merge it first. I like the pupil that I drew. Okay, so this could possibly stand to stretch a little bit. Subtle, but does make a difference. Cool. Cool, cool. When we come back, we'll draw the three-quarter view and this low angle view. All right, thanks.